question, now the answers have already started to go into what can we do about this. But these are going to focus a little bit more on that. So the next question is, what is the biggest barrier standing in the way of solving the issue? And you can provide a brief explanation if you would like. Sir?
Well, to shock everybody, the federal government is the biggest barrier since its anti-inflation, anti-deficit ideology linked to its pro-corporate tax orientation now shapes policy. Even my entrepreneurial brothers and sisters can tell you sometimes just get a nice loan to get you past a certain crisis so you can buy a new something or another. I have a little business of my own, Pegasus Educational Services Incorporated. I'd love to have a DVD copier. I had to borrow money from my wife to get it. And the specific forces within the government which controls the levels of unemployment are two. One which is clearly in the government and one which sounds like it's in the government but it's not. The Supreme Court, which outlawed all policies, all laws which had an anti-racist employment dimension. They will tell you, all the black women got laid off, but so long as the guy doesn't hate black women, then that was not racist. That was not sexist. So therefore, again, you can do that. The whole the shift, instead of examining the institutional nature in which racism operates to hurt black, Latino, and whites, by the way, they look at some kind of personal intentionality rather than inbred, as you pull it out, policy, institutionality. And so it acts that even with President Obama, and I'll give him some props, no matter if he wanted to change every one of these things, as it was said, he went in there as a junior baseball player coming to a big game, first day, and get ready to throw some balls. That's why he should have ran for vice president, but that's another story. I'm Clintonian left over. The second power is the Federal Reserve System, which despite its name is not officially a part of the federal government, even though it oversees the economic policies of the federal government. They try to turn on these switches on and off, up with the rates, down with the rates, and it sounds good, oh, they're cutting the rates, but you would not hardly see those rates cut when you look at your credit card. Sometimes when you're trying to suck you, entice you into getting that credit card, they're giving you 0 APRs for a year. And then you forgot it was a year because you forgot what much you got it. The next thing you know, you're here with a 9.9% on a $20 charge. Where the hell that come from? So that Federal Reserve structure and that government, which is the present time, it wasn't always like this because when workers were organized and fighting back, they were forced to give us concessions. When black and Latinos were fighting back with Raza on the one side and Martin Luther King on the other, Chavez on one side, and Malcolm X on the other, they were forced to give us these concessions. But we got complacent. We thought they did it because they loved us and liked us. In fact, they were scared of us. Until that fear comes back, these two forces, the federal government in and of itself with all of its complexity, and the Federal Reserve System with all of its control, it's almost like a great octopus controlling every dollar penny we have. That's why everybody should get $1 out tonight and take a look at it. It says their Federal Reserve note. Not backed by nothing, but the faith and credit of the Chinese government.
Yeah, the biggest barrier I believe standing in the way is ignorance. Ignorance and people being unaware of their own behavior and subconscious thoughts. Racism is taught, and unfortunately, the only behavior we can control is our own. We got to work on ourselves first. I read a book once that said you can't change things from the outside in, it has to be from the inside out. And until you as an individual start being able to do it, you'll be able to start inspiring others to do the same. But you can't control the behaviors of others, and we must become leaders and lead by example and raise awareness, promote change within our own individual networks. In the United States of America, we all have an opportunity to achieve whatever it is that we want, and at the end of the day, the only thing that stands in the way of your goals and dreams is you. I really love the fact of we have to fight the fear. We've been, as middle-income, middle-class people, we've been bred to live in fear. I'm a fear I'm gonna lose my job. I'm a fear I don't have enough money to send my kids to college. A fear of I'm not gonna be, you know, one of those big important people that speak on TV and stuff like that. And I believe that the revolution that needs to take place is not a revolution with guns and killing in the streets like they are in the countries across the, across the globe. I believe the revolution that has to take change is the education part, the education piece. These inner city, neighborhoods that don't have somebody teaching them about finance, that don't have somebody teaching them about goals, about being a leader, about taking steps and actions that together, united, you cannot beat that force. You know, the government knows everything because they write the policies. Well, guess what? We need to start studying those policies and understanding them, and we need to communicate them to the people who may not be on our level and be able to give it to them so they can take advantage of everything that this country has to offer. I believe we are in a pretty tragic state right now, but at the same time, we have the ability as individuals to control who we are, where we are, and what we want to be in the future.
I agree with the panel that it is a very systematic and systemic problem. And again, we have to look at the top and work from the bottom at the same time. You have to look at the Supreme Court. We have to look at all our institutions, systems in the United States. We have to look at education reform. We also have to look at state, federal, and local hiring policies. So when we hold our own state, local, and federal hiring bodies, whatever those agencies are, they should set the mark for corporate America. And there has been a lot of work around that, especially when it comes to ex-offenders on the municipal level and the whole ban the box, initiative. And for those who don't know, that's basically an initiative and advocacy to take the whole question off of applications if you ever been convicted of a crime. Because I just have to go back to the whole notion of the social control piece and criminality and how that prevents minorities from gaining employment. Also, once you take that question off of the box, the ban the box off of the application, it actually gives applicants a better chance of not having their employment application discarded. So it gives them a fair shake to get an interview, to actually talk to employers, explain their situation. They may have gone through some type of economic situation in their life where they had to commit crime. The whole strain theory of why communities are in battle with crime is because we're trying to adhere to, a certain type of Americanism that says, well, you need this, you need this, you need this. And if you can't buy it, what happens? People commit crime. At the same time, as individuals, we have to be less consumers and more producers. We don't have to go to Walmart all the time or Jewel to purchase our food. We can grow our own food, create our own products. And it goes back to what the gentleman at the end of the panel was saying about building your own enterprises and not always having to rely on an employer to make decisions for you when you can start your own business and make decisions that are more equitable for everyone.
A lot of very well thought out ideas here, so I'm going to throw out something which may not be as well thought out, but it's a theoretical construct that makes sense to me. I would refer to this as the political economy of racism. This came up with, influenced by other things I've read, I can't even remember where, but trying to figure out why it is that over decade after decade after decade, ideas such as this biological idea about what race is, you know, inferiority of certain racial groups, etc. These ideas are disproven repeatedly, and yet they keep coming back. It's like, you know, the vampire driving the stake through his heart, and the thing keeps popping back up. Why is that? And to me, it seems like there has to be some very, you know, fundamental force at work here. And actually, an interesting calculation, I think, gives some insight into this. I just got the, you know, numbers from government websites. What is the total number of African Americans of working age between, say, 20 and 65? Look at the mean income of African Americans compared to whites controlling for educational attainment. And that comes out to about 65 cents on the dollar. And you multiply that by the, you know, several tens of millions of individuals, African Americans of working age, and it comes out with about $165 billion per year of savings in wages for the employer class. Now, not that they necessarily do this calculation before they, you know, plan their budget for the year, but someplace in business school they must have gotten the idea that this is helpful. And when you then draw the connection between who are the owners of the large businesses, the large employers, and what connections might they have with the ideas that form our culture, who sits on the board of regents of the universities, who owns the newspapers and controls the deciding, you know, stock votes in major media and enterprises, et cetera, et cetera. So it's no wonder that this keeps coming back to life, because it's a very profitable set of ideas in terms of being able to extract money from the working population. So the answer to the question is, what is the main obstacle? I think it's the market system, capitalism itself.